Good morning, children. Previous class we had discussed about the decomposition and the mechanism of decomposition. There are 5 steps are there that we have discussed. First one is called the fragmentation, second step is called the catabolism, third step is called the leaching, or it is also called eluviation, and fourth step is called humidification, and the last step is called the mineralization. And all these 5 steps have been discussed, and then last we have discussed about the factors affecting the decomposition. Now next part we are going to discuss about the biogeochemical cycle, or it is also called the nutrient cycles. We know the nutrients for the plants and animals will be getting from the environment only. So exchange of nutrient takes place between the organisms and their environment is one of the essential aspects of an ecosystem. So without this cycle, nutrient cycle, the ecosystem also cannot be survived. Damaging of the ecosystem will be taking place. So exchange of nutrient takes place between the living organism and their environment in every ecosystem. All organisms require nutrients for their different metabolic activities, physiological processes such as growth, development, maintenance, and reproduction. This circulation of nutrients within the ecosystem of biosphere, it is known as biogeochemical cycle, or it is also called the nutrient cycle. Now there are this nutrient cycle is of 2 basic types. There are 2 types of nutrient cycles are present in our ecosystem. One is called the gaseous cycle, second type is called the sedimentary cycle. Gaseous cycle means it includes all atmospheric oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the nitrogen cycle. Sedimentary cycles means the minerals which are present in the sedimentary rocks, such as the phosphorus, sulfur, calcium. These are considered as the sedimentary cycles, which are present in the sediments of earth. That's why they are called the sedimentary cycles. Now many of these cycles already we have discussed in the lower classes, but for example we will be discussing one cycle from gaseous cycle and one from the sedimentary cycle. Now gaseous cycle one we are going to discuss, that is called the carbon cycle. The circulation of carbon occurs between the organisms and the environment is known as carbon cycle. And carbon, we know that it is an inevitable part of all biomolecules. Inevitable means very much essential component of the biomolecules, and is substantially impacted by the change in global climate. At the same time, it is having impact on the climate on this earth. Cycling of carbon between organisms and atmosphere is a consequence of 2 reciprocal processes. Cycling of carbon takes place between the organism and atmosphere by the 2 reciprocal, just opposite processes. One is called photosynthesis, another process is called respiration. Due to respiration, carbon in the form of carbon dioxide is released by the organisms, both plants and animals. At the same time, carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants during photosynthesis. So these are the 2 reciprocal processes by which cycling of carbon takes place between the organisms and the atmosphere. Now the releasing of carbon in the atmosphere increases due to different either natural activities or by human activities. So what are the natural processes by which the carbon will be released in the environment? Carbon is releasing in the atmosphere. These are such as burning of the fossil fuels, deforestation, forest fire, volcanic eruptions, and decomposition of dead organic matters. Now in the already it has been given in the flowchart of diagrammatic sketch is showing the carbon cycle. So only very few things, 3 or 4 sentences, that will be enough, but that type of question will not come in this 12th standard. Now we are going to discuss about the sedimentary cycle, which is called the phosphorus cycle will be discussed here. It is a type of sedimentary cycle. Phosphorus cycle means it is a type of sedimentary cycle because the phosphorus is present in the sedimentary rocks on this earth. We know that phosphorus is found in the biomolecules DNA, RNA, ATP, NADP, and phospholipid molecules. Phospholipid is present in the membrane, cell membrane of all organisms. So, phosphorus is an important component in the body of living organisms, including plants. Phosphorus is not abundant in the atmosphere, whereas the major quantity, bulk quantity of phosphorus is present in rock deposits, sedimentary marine sediments, and the guano. Guano is nothing but the excretion of excretory product, also you can say, of seabirds. That is called the guano, which is considered as a major source of phosphorus. It is released from these deposits by weathering process. After that, it circulates in lithosphere as well as to the hydrosphere. The producers, that means the green plants, they absorb this phosphorus in the form of phosphate ions, and then it's transferred to each of the trophic level of food chain through food. After death of these organisms, by decomposition process, all this phosphorus molecule again come back to the environment. That means in the lithosphere and hydrosphere to maintain the phosphorus cycle. So that is the phosphorus cycle, which is an example of sedimentary cycle. Now next we are going to discuss about the types of ecosystem, the flow chart to be memorized also, and with one example we will be discussing. The biosphere consists of different types of ecosystems. So ecosystem is broadly classified into two types: natural ecosystem and the artificial or man-made ecosystem. Natural ecosystem means with or without human interference. Maybe naturally it is present, the ecosystem is present in the environment. Maybe human being is interfering. Sometimes human being will be interfering, sometimes will be not. But they are present naturally and developed naturally and maintained naturally also. Maintained naturally. These are called the natural ecosystem. And the second type, it is called artificial or man-made ecosystem, which is developed artificially by the human being. Such as, example we can say the rice field, different types of agricultural field, which is considered as an example of artificial or man-made ecosystem. Now this natural ecosystem, again it is classified into two broad types. First one is called the terrestrial ecosystem which is present on land, and second type it is called the aquatic ecosystem, that is in open water. Terrestrial ecosystem example is forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem, which is present on land, that is called the terrestrial ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem, it may be fresh water, it may be the marine water. So whatever it may be, that is aquatic ecosystem, it is open water, may be the fresh water ecosystem or may be the marine water ecosystem. Now we are not going to consider marine ecosystem. Here we will be discussing only the freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem, again it is two types. Lotic type, L-O-T-I-C, another one is called lentic type. What do you mean by lotic? Lotic is nothing but the running water body, suppose river, stream, spring. These are the examples of lotic, freshwater, aquatic ecosystem. And second type is called lentic, it is called standing water body. Suppose ponds, lakes, all these are the examples of lentic type of ecosystem, freshwater, aquatic ecosystem. Now, this is the types of classification. This one may come for 3 marks question. Write the flow chart of types of ecosystem. So first we have to say that ecosystem may be natural or may be artificial or man-made. Natural ecosystem will be discussed only here. Terrestrial ecosystem it may be, or it may be aquatic ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem, it is a two types, maybe freshwater or maybe marine water. This freshwater ecosystem, it is again of two types, lotic and lentic. Lotic is nothing but the running water bodies, pond, stream, river, stream and spring. And lentic type, standing water, suppose aquatic bodies, pond, lake, all these are the examples. So this is the flow chart about the different types of ecosystem. Now here in your syllabus only we will be discussing the pond ecosystem, which is an example of pond ecosystem, means lentic type. So this is a classical example for natural, then aquatic, and then it is freshwater, then lentic type. These are the four things you have to say. First it is lentic, and after that lentic it is freshwater. After freshwater it is aquatic and natural. These are the four adjectives to be used for the pond ecosystem. Now it helps us to understand the structure and function of an ecosystem. When rainwater gathers for a long period of time in a shallow area, gradually over a period of time different kinds of organisms also will start to grow there and forms a part of this ecosystem. This pond ecosystem is a self-sustaining, it can maintain by them itself. That means it is a natural ecosystem that will be maintained naturally. Self-sustaining and self-regulatory freshwater ecosystem, which shows a complex interaction between the abiotic and biotic components in it. Till here, next class we will be discussing. Thank you, children.